My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome to today's episode. My guest today is Blaz Marolt, and you can expect to understand how neuroscience relates to the work you do as a course creator, personal brand, or whatever the thing you do as the world's best kept secret. We're going to tap into the brain a little bit and understand how you can use neuroscience to speed up things. Before we bring Blaz on, it's very important that I say I am quite impressed by the response. I am quite impressed by how many people are subscribing, but still around 50% of the people that are watching the videos are not subscribing. And so if you're one of them, I would love for you to pause and subscribe because it means a whole lot when you do that. The bigger the channel, the bigger the game I can play, the bigger the guests I can bring on. And so it would do so much good if you could stop and subscribe to the channel so that, more and more people get to know that we have some amazing stuff going on. We are going any further ahead of myself. I would like to bring Blaz to you and I'll let him tell you kind of what he does. Blaz, welcome to the show.
Hey, Prima, thank you for inviting me. So I'm a leadership coach, and I focus specifically on leadership with neuroscience, and I pretty much help people speed up their trajectories of their career, mostly corporate, but also in the coaching sphere. From if they're stuck in their position, they don't know what to do. I use neuroscience to help them push their leadership and their career forward.
I love it. I like to think that Blaz sells speed. So today we're going to see how speed works for you as a coach, consultant, expert. Maybe you're stagnated for all this while and you've been missing the portion that only he holds, which is the portion of your brain and you know how you connect with it. Um, Tell us, how did you get here? What's the story behind, this neuroscience and your desire to help people connect with their brain?
Yeah, so in the beginning, so I always like to help people. And ever since I was young, I always tried to help people. So that kind of grew up on me. And then I went into the military. So I've graduated from the US Military Academy at West Point. And I always wanted to go into the leadership sphere. But one of the things that was always missing was kind of like, why do we react to certain decisions, leadership decisions, and everything else? Why do let's say I react differently to the same situation than you do? And I went into psychology first because that was the first thing that they taught us. Hey, psychology can interpret what we do as humans, right? But at the same time, it has its limitations. And at certain points, you don't know what people are doing and why they're doing it. And this is where I kind of like gotten into neuroscience. And the way I kind of gotten into it was almost by mistake. I was an MBA student at University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, and I had this great lecturer that was focusing on neuroscience for leaders. And that was like kind of like my aha moment, which was like, oh, this is something I want to study. And it's been like, I think 9 years since that point. And I've just gotten into it and to understand how we react to any, leadership problems or just life problems, on how our subconscious reacts to it and the way we kind of explain it through our conscious level mind. Because I don't know like how much you know or you not don't know about neuroscience or in our brain, but most of it is our subconscious level thinking. Our conscious level thinking is only 5% or less. And our subconscious decides what we're going to do, whether we like it or not. This is just the way who we are. And just deciphering this subconscious level then enables us to be first better leaders, to speed up our career, and pretty much to resolve any issues that we may have if we go and study what the problems are, what the triggers are, and how we can help our brain go past that, we can actually achieve success.
Sat on the other side of the mic as a best kept secret. I'm dipping my toe in coaching. I have it 1, 2, 3 clients. Things are pretty tough. And I'm kind of going, could this neuroscience be my answer to all of my problems I have right now? How can someone like that tap into neuroscience, or what does it look like for a young leader who had like a small team, a few clients, a few thousand audience size, and maybe one even lead themselves through this whole coaching career to the top, and they kind of want to accelerate their journey as a leader in the coaching space? How does that look like for them, or what do they need to know about neuroscience?
Yeah. So the first thing that everybody has to do is to look inside yourself. So how to lead yourself, because that is like the basic thing, right? And then the way you apply neuroscience to it is who you are as, first of all, as a person, what your experiences are. And here is where you then go, we start slowly dipping into the neuroscience, right? Because in neuroscience, especially in leadership, we have, let's say, 3 main things: what my experiences are, what my environment is, and what my genetics are. So genetics, we can't change that. It's who we were born, like what we were born. But our experiences and our environment, we do know what influenced us. And then we can go and start scraping the layers of neuroscience. And what we do is we go into our subconscious brain, specifically our primal brain, which is usually the brainstem, and then our limbic brain, which is our emotional side of the brain. And then we have our thinking brain, which is the one that was pretty much evolved, the last one. And this is where conscious thought is. And through all of this, we then can go and see what our actual personality is, and then what our leadership style is. Because if you just let's just go into the traditional leadership styles, right? So people always say, be a servant leader, be on, you can be an autocratic leader and all of that. That's all and great, but it's such a big generalization of who we are that people then tend to, let's say they follow that 5 leaders that they like the most, and then they try to emulate their leadership style, but it won't work for you as a person, because all of your experiences are different, and you need to be an authentic leader. You need to understand who you are as a person and how you react and what your brain is. And this is where we kind of go into the neuroscience part. And when you figure this one out, you're actually going to become an authentic leader that's going to be able to actually be more comfortable with yourself. And when you're more comfortable with yourself, it just kind of like adds in, you just attract people, or in this case, clients. For coaches, they're gonna come to you because you actually portray that, hey, this is who I am, this is who I can be, and this is how I can help you, with authenticity.
So if we had to go into, assume I don't know my style and I've just been looking at, I like the other guy, I think I'll lead the way he does. Or I know my dad used to be a dictator, but I never liked it. I'm like, man, you guys, I have to be like a way I can, have an idea. And my dad was like, no, my thing is like, you have to do this. And I'm like, why? And then I got to know that he's a dictator kind of part. And I'm like, there has to be another way. So if I am going, I wonder what my leadership style, it should be, without, just reading books and cramming things. How can neuroscience inform me of the best way that I can lead people? Is that going too deep, or is it a question we can answer today?
Oh, no, we can definitely answer it. And we can answer it in, let's say, in a few layers. So the first layer, right, is without going deep into neuroscience, we have what we call the head, heart, and gut connection, right? So the head is usually the thinking part, the heart is the emotional part, and the gut is your instincts. And if you really want to go into understanding, at least in this primal level, what your leadership style is and who you are as a person, you need to align those. So let's say when you said like, hey, my dad is a dictator, right? Oh, I don't like that. So that means where do these if these feelings emanate from your gut, your heart, or your actual head, right? Your thinking. And then when you understand where it emanates from, let's say from your instincts, then you know that this is definitely not one of your values to be a dictator, right? So do I want to be a dictator? Then you say, okay, no. So what do I like to do, right? Let's say you would ask yourself, if I don't want to be a dictator, then what do I want to be? And when you start thinking about this, right, and this is where you use your head, okay, I maybe want to be a democratic leader, that I value opinions from every person, right? And then you evaluate yourself. Does my heart does my heart actually play into this, or do my instincts say, yes, this is actually where I want to go? And when you align all three of them, then you have something, right? So you have what, let's say, Prima, you say like, oh, I actually want to become a democratic leader. Let's actually proceed through that route, right?
What
And
options do I have? I don't really know that I want everyone to decide how I lead them. I don't know that I'm democratic. There has to be something. I want to lead, inspire, and not wait for everyone to get on the ship. So is there another way to lead? Is there like another?
Yes. So this is, so when I was talking like about democratic, autocratic, those are like the traditional types that it's, I would say, the easiest part for anybody to understand. And this is why I'm kind of like just talking about them, right? But what you're just talking about or asking about right now, we would have to go actually deeper into the neuroscience. So we would have to go and start learning about who you are in a more deeper level. So we would go into what your primal brain does. So our primal brain usually is just focused on survival. And then we would explore this in much more detail. And after we explore this, we would go to our limbic brain. And in leadership, neuroscience leadership, we then kind of divide this one into two parts: the paleolimbic, which deals mostly with fear, and the neolimbic, where your authentic leadership actually is, right? And then we would actually go and check what kind of traits you have using the same method that I said before, right? Hey, what do you like, what you don't like during our coaching sessions. And then we would say, okay, so you then identify probably with this and this and this type of leadership. And because of this, you have these traits. Most likely, we would actually go then and check them out further. And with that, when you understand those, so when let's say I can tell you what when I did this, right? It just kind of relaxed my body. I was like, okay, this makes so much sense. I know who I am. I know what I can do. And because of that, you actually know who you can help. Because let's just face it, I can't help anybody in the world if I'm a leadership coach. Not a chance. I have some people that I'll never be able to help because we're just not aligned. And with this, you're actually going to be able to be aligned to what type of people do you want to help, and you're going to be able to attract the type of people you want to, because you don't want any person, you don't want to get every client, just because if you don't get the right client, like it can be bad for both of you. So you as a coach and the client, you're not going to get the most out of it. So this is kind of like the way we would kind of go and deal with this through a couple of sessions, so that you would understand where you are and what your actual authentic leadership style is.
I like this. Some of the people listening have a job. Like there may be someone who's a coach and they are a manager. Some of them have a job and some of them are actually like in middle management, or they're just starting in management. It's not like everyone on the other side is an entrepreneur. So if you had to speak more of the work you do, or maybe the modality you use, or your framework, if you kind of had to go through that to a manager, I'm a middle manager and I am trying to build a business over here, what would be most valuable to them in maybe 5 minutes or 10 or something like that? What should they know to be able to speed up their career if they're trying to maybe make it to the top C's, and right now they're like either flat starting out or they are middle managers? what could be the pillars that could help them accelerate their journey to whatever position they want, really?
Yeah. So the first pillar is definitely knowing yourself. So as in, who am I as a leader? So what I just talked about before, it's pretty much, it applies to middle managers, is you need to understand who you are as a leader, what your authentic leadership style is, because this is going to be the best way for you to succeed, because you cannot fake it and be a different type of leader. Let's say I want to be this kind of leader because I really like this person. You're not going to be able to emulate this. Yes, maybe you will for like the first few months, but then you're going to start hating it because it's not going to be who your authentic self is.
Yeah.
And this is what this is the first step, what they need to do, pretty much. Know who you are. And then when you know who you are, you have a team, right? So you have a team, let's say underneath you, like 3-5 people, whatever, right? You need to understand what their personalities are and what the other people's leadership styles is, because hopefully they're going to be different than yours is. Because if you have the same people that have the same leadership style, then sorry to break it to you, but you've probably created a wrong team around you, because you've just created 5 or 6 people that are the same as you are. And that's usually not a success for the team, right? And when you understand your team, you also have to understand who your boss pretty much is. If we're talking about the corporate side, right? What their strengths are, weaknesses are, what their leadership style is. And as an example, what I can give you here. So my last job, I was a chief of staff for a career coaching company. So I was the right-hand person for the CEO. So we were pretty much talking 2 or 3 hours a day at least. And you know what the funny part of that was? When I used this neuroscience approach, my boss didn't know who I was as a person, because I was able to understand it, understand him, and apply all of these approaches so that I could get the best results. And the only reason why he knew what my actual personality and leadership style was, because we were actually taking a coaching class, and we had to do those tests about what your personality is. And then mine and his personalities were like, legitimately, if you could go 180 degrees apart, that was my personality and that was his. And he actually argued with me, like at the beginning. He was like, no, that must have been some mistake, because you're the same type of personality than I am. I was like, no, I'm not. It's because I know how to apply these lessons, and I know how to then adapt my communication strategy based on what I know who you are, so that I can get the best results. And yeah, that was a big shocker to him, for sure.
You can't lead people you don't understand, and you can't work together with people who you misunderstand all of the time. That's powerful. Like that can even apply to clients. Like you have to know the customer to be able to help them or influence them. Or I even think it can work for parents. I just think this lesson can cut across, it can work pretty much in different places in life. Yeah.
And all of this then combined, when you know yourself and you know your subordinates and your superiors, this is when you actually then have the opportunity to really accelerate your career and how to succeed. And even if you don't want to accelerate your career, if you're happy where you are, it just means that you're going to be more comfortable with yourself, with your team, what the team can do. And just imagine, like, you won't have anxiety. You'll be able to sleep better if you're not. You're going to be able to do less work and have a better work-life balance. Be home with your family or whatever you want to do, right? Sooner and faster. And it's just going to be, overall, it just becomes how can I explain? Like, you're just happier as a person, as yourself, and you can pursue whatever you want. And the most powerful part of this as well is that you never have to fear for your career or your job, because you're always going to have opportunities. If it doesn't work in this job or with this client, or as such, you can always say, hey, I'm going to go to a different industry. Let's say, for me, I've been in 5 different industries up until now, when I decide I want to go full-time coaching, because I actually do enjoy it.
Mm.
And I've always been successful with it, right? So always have progressed through my career.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't held up against me that I was from a different industry, because I just applied these leadership and neuroscience principles in every pretty much job that I had.
I like what you're saying because I think the greatest leverage people can have is the leverage of human capital. And
Yeah,
what this work is doing is helping you understand those that are around you pretty much so that you can influence them, if I can say that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can get them
exactly.
on your whatever you're doing, you can get them behind your cause. Because when people feel understand that when they feel like you understand them, they will be
Yeah,
influenced by you.
yeah,
And I'm not meaning manipulation here, but I think that even just as a coach, as a leader in the market, this is
yeah,
going to help you get people on your cause, get people behind whatever you're
yeah,
doing. If you understand them and you understand yourself, I think this leadership lesson doesn't only apply to the corporate world. And so I'm
yeah.
glad you came on, even though I kept thinking, leadership. I wonder who in my audience is thinking, I want to be a better leader. But now I really see the lesson. You can take it to parenting, you can take it to influencing
Yeah,
audiences, you can take it to your clients, you can take it pretty much everywhere. I like that.
yeah,
What is the other question I want to ask you? I know you've been coaching for a bit before you left your job.
yeah,
And, I love to talk about School of Hard Knocks, the things that
yeah,
you had to learn from failing. I wanted to take
yeah.
you there and kind of try and understand from you, like, what have been your biggest lessons, as a coach and helping other people that you just knew from messing up and you were like, lesson learned from like being bad.
Yeah, so definitely one thing that I have is each client is different and each client is unique,
Mhm.
and accept that, and don't try and put models to the client,
Mm.
like if you have any coaching models, but apply the models and align the models with what the client needs.
Mm.
So my one of my biggest, I would say, like, yeah, definitely one of my biggest failures as a coach was in
Mm.
my previous employment, because as part of the chief of staff that I was
Mm.
also taking the most problematic clients, to say it like that. So as in
Mhm.
career coaching, they didn't ex, ex, uh, exceed the expectations that they had for us, and
Mm.
what we had for them. So I was there almost like as a firefighter, like doing the mindset and stuff, right? And
Mm.
the first times I went there, I made a mistake of listening so to my boss and to advice of other people
Mhm.
about, hey, you need to set up your coaching hour or coaching session like this and this and this and this, and follow this process, right?
Mm.
But then I actually forgot that it was actually this process that actually the clients got to this level that they were not succeeding with us.
Mm.
So when I applied this the first couple of times, I saw that I didn't get any results, and that the clients just, you can just see that they disengage,
Mhm.
because they're trying to put a model to them. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. Well, oh, what are the wins? Oh my god, yeah, and, the wins are this and this and this, and you can just see like the tone is like not excited. It's just like, I'm just here because I need to be.
Mhm.
And then I got into a really big reflection, like for a couple of weeks, until I
Mhm.
got like my next client like this. And then I just said like, hey, you know I'm throwing everything, every model, everything I know out of the window, and let's just talk with the client.
Mhm.
And we just started talking. Hey, how is it going? How is it doing? And like, I just let the client just speak for himself, herself, and the results were actually amazing, right? So I had a 1 hour session when we just talked about the client's life. Nothing, almost you would say like, hey, that's not coaching at all. We were just
Mm.
exchanging stories, but this is what the client actually needed to get on the right track. And then on the next set, on one of the other sessions, we went more into what the neuroscience does to the person, because the guy was a little bit more analytical. He was more into, just, he was a scientific person, And I just explain it to him like, hey, this is how your brain works. This is why you're feeling down right now. And this is why it's not working. And it actually worked. And what I learned is like, just use my instincts as a coach on what to apply to the clients. Of course, I have my models and everything else that I learned as, during my coaching certification in my backpack, in my pocket, but I only use them when it's appropriate. I don't use the models just to kind of like model the client in a box, right? So this is the biggest thing that I've learned in the past year or so that I've been heavily coaching.
That's a big one. I remember when I was in my job, everyone wanted me to go up the ladder, and I didn't want to. I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to do my business, but I didn't have the guts to quit. And I remember people started saying, I am not listening. Everyone wanted me to apply for the next job, and I said, I don't want to do that. And I remember I got to the CFO for some reason. He said, I understand complicated employees. Let me talk to her.
Yeah.
So I spoke to him. He's called Robert. And Robert said, so tell me what's the dream? I said, I want to build a business. I said, what? I said, I want to build a business. I said, like, what do you mean? I said, I don't think this is for me. I think I want to go out, build a business, innovate, and build my own MTN. Like build my own this thing. And he looked at me and said, you're right. And he said to them, from this day onwards, I'll be coaching Prima myself. And I was in the job, and he was helping me understand how to get out of it and build my business. He's been one of my best mentors. Nice. He was our best man at the wedding. We just connected. Like I didn't want to climb the corporate ladder. I just wanted to get out.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to cause any trouble. But I just knew that going for the next promotion, I didn't want that. I did my job, but I didn't want the next thing. And I didn't know how to kind of think through quitting. And so he just walked me through the transition and how to kind of look at, being my own employer as opposed to working for someone while still contributing the best I can to the person who is paying the bills. And that was most helpful than everybody who was trying to show me that because I'm not applying for the next job, I have failed. I didn't want the next job. I just wanted to be an So when you speak about that, I understand. And it's just, I didn't do certifications and stuff. And so I personally coach from School of Hard Knocks. Worked with people. No, these things work, these things don't work. Some people want this, some people don't want this. So for me, kind of been in the weeds like that, School of Hard Knocks, and I kind of know when to move forward, when to move back, when to stop, when to pause. But I can imagine that when you're certified by the best of the best, you kind of want to get that hat and, put it on the customer. And I can see how that can be a big problem. I can really
it definitely can, because let's say for me, right? So my career was a little bit different, and I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur or a coach. I wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I wanted to become the CEO of a large or semi-large company. That was my goal from the beginning. But then, stuff happened, and I was a regional ops director for 8 countries in Europe for a food delivery company, kind of like DoorDash in the US, right? And then all of a sudden, I got burnt out heavily. So I was on sick leave for 6 months, like bedridden for a couple of months until I was actually able, to go forward. And that was like a couple of years ago. And then it was like, I need to change something with my life because first I'm unhappy. What I'm doing with corporate, it's like, okay, it's amazing. I've become like a senior director, VP or CEO or whatever, but will that make me happy? No. What does make me happy is helping people, coaching them, teaching them, consulting with them, mentoring them, right? And then I was like, what I wanted, what field I want to go into, leadership and all that, I didn't know, but I did know that I wanted to use neuroscience with it. So I went to get this certification because when we were talking about neuroscience, I wasn't sure of myself. And because of my past experiences and the environment I thought I needed a certification. It's definitely not true. But that certification kind of gave me, but that certification, gave me kind of this confidence that I knew, okay, so apparently somebody thinks that I would be a good coach.
Mhm.
So then I went and got myself a job as a chief of staff and doing a little bit of career coaching. And now,
Mhm.
just going now into the leadership coaching all by myself, because my past experience and my past trauma that I had were so heavy that I always thought that I needed validation from somebody. And my
Mm.
coaching certification, all of my work was like, hey, I need to get validated by some person. And that meant a higher authority, which for me meant, hey, go into corporate and people are going to praise you so much. And this is what I'm kind of, I've negated in the past couple of years, going through
Mm.
therapy, releasing my trauma and understanding the neuroscience behind what I actually do and why I do those things. Yeah. So I completely understand you when you went your own route. Hey, I don't need a certification. I already know what I'm doing. And I'm always learning stuff from my clients, from whatever I do. Yeah. So
It's not
it's
that I
super
didn't
powerful.
need a certification. I just think that it didn't make sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. It didn't make sense. Like I'm just an entrepreneur. I mess up things. I learn. I get my hands
Yeah.
dirty. I fail. I get up. I
Yeah.
am just an entrepreneur. What do entrepreneurs do? They start. They fail. They
Yeah.
get up. They try again. I don't know. Is going to school, getting a website, a logo. That's not my thought process. My thought process is what's the problem? What problem can I solve right now? Start, fail, and possibly like work it out from there. Are we frozen or something? I don't know. I can't seem to see on your side what's happening. Let me know if we're still on. I think my internet jumped off for
Hey.
some reason. Am I
Yeah.
still coming through? I can't see on video now. Like, yeah, only in Africa do these things happen. My internet jumped off and I had to kind of restart.
it's it's also in Slovenia. It also happens here a lot of the time. So the first thing I was like, I looked at, I was like, is it me? And I was like,
Mhm.
oh no, it's not me because I actually stayed on Zoom. But yeah, it happens all the time. So
Yeah, I was just saying it's not that I thought I knew things. I'm just an entrepreneur, and my natural
yeah,
process is to move. I don't look for
mm,
answers from school. I don't look answers for
yeah,
books. I move. I work with people. I talk to people. I try to solve a problem. I fail. Get up. Learn
yeah,
something. After failing 10 times, I'm like, oh, I think I learned that lesson. I don't know. It's just my
yeah.
way of going through this work, but I'm sure there's better ways, like get certified, I don't know, read a book. I don't know. It's just not my thought process. But
Yeah, so I actually think like that your way is the right way for you, like my
Mhm.
way is the right way for me. And this is
Mhm.
where we kind of come back into the neuroscience of it all.
Mhm.
What your experiences were, what your environment is, what your genes are, and all of
Mm.
those three together just makes
Yeah.
sense for you that you went, hey, start something, fail, start, fail, start,
Oh.
succeed.
Yeah, but
And whereas what, yeah.
if I was to talk about the brain, if I was to
Mhm,
talk about healing, if I was to talk
mhm,
about things that are very sensitive, I would probably have to get the paperwork. It's just that, the work I do probably does not necessarily need me to certify in anything. So I just think it's a
yeah,
good disclaimer to put out there that depends on what you're doing. And, can you
yeah.
do that without being in trouble? I want to move into the last
Oh, 100%.
section of the show, which is more like rapid fire. You kind of have a minute to answer every question, but it's a very nice way to end the show.
Perfect.
For you who is wondering, Blaz is hugely on LinkedIn. That's his platform. You can follow him over
Yeah.
there. He speaks to corporates who are in management and want to speed up things. And so, if you're thinking, yeah, I want more of that leadership stuff, I want more of that, what you are talking about, yeah, no problem. Go head over to LinkedIn. Give him a follow. Marolt, and chat about all of the things to do with leadership. I know you do offer coaching. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it works and who it's for?
You mean my coaching, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So specifically, I mostly focus on young managers. So, and as by young, I mean managers that have been in the position for 5 years or less,
Okay.
and that they want to speed up their just either their leadership or their corporate career it varies. It depends on what you pretty much want. And then what I do is I have one-on-one coaching sessions with a leadership course, because what we were just talking about right now with the neuroscience stuff is we can use a recorded course, so that I don't need to explain this during our one-on-one live sessions, because I really want to focus on the person as a coachee, so we can go into more depth than just me explaining the brain to you on the live sessions.
So what you're saying is you have a course which takes me through what I need to know, and then we coach through the course.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And if you have any other issues or any other challenges at that point, of course, we also coach on this. And then I also, during this program, I'm also available. So on WhatsApp, if you have any questions, you can always text me, email me, or if you have like any crisis, which does happen, I'm always available for a quick 10-15 minute call that we can resolve something. Either you have an issue in your work, like during your work time, or you have a crisis, as in like, hey, I'm not confident anymore, my mindset is off, or something like that. And we can always jump on a call right away, or as fast as I can possibly make it, and do that, right? But definitely within 24 hours, I will respond to any and all calls, messages, or anything like that.
So there's a course and you offer coaching. So I don't understand. Is this group coaching? Is it one-on-one? Is it
No, it's
weekly?
Yeah. Oh, so it's a course that you can go through it in a self-paced environment, and then I have a one-on-one here right now, only exclusively one-on-one. I don't have a group coaching yet, but then the one thing, it depends. If you go in a 3-month package, we have a one-on-one weekly. So that's usually meant for, hey, I have either a big problem, or I really want to accelerate my career really fast. Then we go into a 3-month course, which is a weekly one-on-one. If what I do usually recommend is a 6-month one, then where we have like one-on-ones once every 2 weeks. It's a little bit longer, but you will get more out of it, just because you have more time between our sessions to think about it, to actually get the neuroscience in, like, spread into your brain, and you can actually think a lot more about this. And it's a lot more, I would say, slower paced, so that you can apply all of the lessons to you. And then after, even before the 6 months, you're definitely going to see the results within yourself as your own leadership, and then with your team and your bosses and everything else. Or if you're a coach, you're definitely going to see your results in self-leadership, for sure.
I like it. I think what he's saying is he has a course and it's self-paced. You go as you wish. So you may have a year, you may have 3 years. That's up to you. You may be looking at that position and going, I want it this quarter. And so if you want acceleration, if you want intensity, he has that for the 3 months. And if you kind of want to have a little bit of a pacing for yourself, the 6 months. So I think you can take his information self-paced based on, what's the thing? What are you going after? And the speed is up to you. Am I right to say that if they want coaching from you, they need to message you on LinkedIn, or another way?
Yeah. So right now I have just message me through LinkedIn. And probably the next couple of months, I'll also have my website up, which is going to be blazmarolt.com. And you can always look at it there, and then again apply for or schedule a one-on-one meeting with me, because I don't take clients just without first talking to them, because I need to know that if I'm a right fit for them.
That's pretty common in the high ticket space. They would message you to then book a call, to then have a chat around if you're the right fit for them or you're not. My friend, if you're looking for neuroscience, you want to speed up things, and you kind of think, I need to be a better leader, then you have Blaz right here in front of you. Who's a guy that has dedicated his life to neuroscience and mastering all of those things, so you don't have to. I want to take you through maybe 5 minutes more or something for the rapid fire, for just my own request. What do you want to be remembered for way after you're gone?
That I was a force of positive good for everybody that I interacted with and I coached with.
If you had a chance to roll back 10 years or 5 years, what could you do differently?
I would definitely, I would start therapy way sooner than I did. And I would definitely start thinking about what I want versus what other people want from me.
Mm.
And yes, and my probably trajectory would be definitely, I would be a coach probably way sooner, and I would not have to go through so much, I would say, hardship in the last 10 years.
What would 80-year-old Blaz be saying looking at you at that point? They are looking at you right now and they're talking to you at 80 years. Like, what would they say to you as a piece of advice right now?
Trust in yourself, and you know best what's right for you. And don't give up, even though people are saying negative things about you to you, or they're trying to trip you up. You're going to persevere either way.
What's the question I should have asked you that I didn't ask? That anyway, you think the listener would be happy I asked?
You got me there. Uh, uh, Actually, yeah, no, I actually think that the way you ask me about everything, pretty much, I think those are well-rounded questions, and I do tend to talk a little bit more than I would say the regular person. And I think that we covered pretty much the main purpose of who I am as a coach and what I actually do and how I can help people.
Okay. There is someone listening on the other end of the mic. It's the last day you have on this planet. You have a minute. It's a coach. They're the best kept secret. And they have no idea about neuroscience and how to use it to do anything. And you have a minute to speak to them before they'll never see you again. They never see your course. They never see anything you produce at that point. They have 1 minute to listen to and go, good luck. And that is supposed to help them survive or at least thrive as a leader in the coaching space. What would you say?
If you want to do anything in your career as in neuroscience, go and think about who you are as a person, and then go and question yourself, why are you doing these actions? And then question yourself again and again until you get to the root cause on why you're doing something. And this is the essence of neuroscience. Questioning yourself why, until you get to the root cause. And then when you understand what you're doing, you're going to understand your brain a lot more. And then build upon this and repeat this over and over again for any questions or anything that you don't understand why you're doing it, because you're doing it instinctively. This is how you're going to understand yourself a lot.
What is the one thing you wish you knew starting as a coach when you did leave your job 3 months ago? What is the one thing you wish someone had told you when you said, I am Blaz, and today I'm starting my coaching business as a person that focuses on neuroscience and how your brain influences the way you can move up the ladder of corporate, whatever country you're in? What do you wish someone told you at that point when you opened doors to your business?
That it's never as easy as it seems, and to make sure that you have everything in your, or most of stuff in your personal life set up, and a support system, because this entrepreneurial route is amazing, coaching route is amazing, but it is hard, and you need all of the support system around you, behind you, to succeed. And make sure that you don't leave your job because of a instinctive decision, but you actually think it through, that it's the right way for you to do it, because coming back again is going to be harder than just leaving.
I love it. We're now coming to the end of the show. What would you love to leave as your words of wisdom to the person who's listening? It's the best kept secret. They have an amazing idea. Nobody knows them. They're not exactly sure how to put themselves out there. They're not exactly sure how to say what they do. They're not exactly sure how to sell what they do, but their work changes lives and more people need to know about them. What would be your last words of wisdom for them?
Yeah. So first, come on this podcast and talk to Prima about to go here. But no, but legitimately, if you don't know how to sell yourself, go and sell yourself either way. You're gonna fail 99 times, but then one time you're gonna succeed. And the more you portray and you talk about your message, the better you become at it. Like me 3 months ago, I was completely different. Like my pitch was different, everything was different because, I didn't have this refinement and I still don't have it yet completely down. So go and try and fail. And when you fail enough, you're going to succeed.
I love that answer. I have my pen here, and what I'm going to write down is the question you want me to ask the next guest. Then the last guest asked me to ask you what's your I am. You know what your I am is?
Am. Oh,
that's the question she wanted me to ask you.
Okay, so that's a really good question. So I right now I am calm with myself and where I'm going on my journey.
Amazing. What question should I ask the next speaker?
Let's do sorry? No. Oh,
it can't be any question. It's the best kept secret. They will come from another angle. What should I ask them?
Well, yeah. So it's one question that you already asked me, but this is one thing that I really would want to know is what do you want to be remembered for?
Blaz, it's been amazing chatting with you. I didn't know how relevant your topic would be to the listener, but I'm pretty happy with where we landed. I think this is going to be helpful for many. If you're listening in and you're going, do I really need leadership? I can guarantee you do. The sooner you understand your leadership dynamics, the better. I'm not saying go and learn everything he knows, but I think the sooner you understand how other people are wired, how other people react, why they react like that, the better. I'm already seeing how this could change my marriage. I'm already seeing how this could change the way I operate with my audience. I'm already seeing how this could improve my relationship with my customers. If you want to influence people, if you want people to come along with you, no matter what you're doing, if you want your kids to come along with you with whatever thing you want them to do, this, I think, is going to be something that is going to help you get people on your thing, whatever the thing you're trying to do. If you want people to come behind you, you want to influence more people, I think what he's talking about is something that will be very critical. And I know one day he'll write a book. And when he does that, I'll pull him back here and bring him here, tell you about the book, because I will want you to go pick it out, Appreciate you for hanging around today. You could have been on 1 million episodes or podcasts. You came here, And I really hope that we served you today. I hope that we were worth your time today. And if you know someone who is a young manager, or you yourself, or they're a middle manager, and they are stagnated, or for some reason need to speed up things, do me a favor, share this episode with them so that they can discover Blaz, so that they can go to LinkedIn and connect with him. So if you're watching this, 1, subscribe, but 2, share this episode with just one person that you think needs to discover Blaz. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. Thank you for today, and I will talk to you in another episode. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the world's best kept secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.